Hello, and a huge welcome to our webinar from World Coaching Organization. My name is John Swallow, and I'm delighted to be your host today. And this session is entitled Embark on Your Coaching Adventure. We've designed it just for you to help you embark on the next stage of your personal development journey, whether that be in coaching itself, a career in coaching, self-coaching, or using coaching just in everyday life. In this session, in addition to providing you with some information on the World Coaching Organization and our courses, we'll also answer some of those really practical questions around coaching and how you can use this skill to help yourself and others. However, first and foremost, I'm delighted to introduce Paulina Hallamar, our Chief Coaching Officer. Hello, Paulina.
Hello.
And perhaps you'd like to kick off by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, John. Super excited to be here. Well, people ask about my roots quite often, and I would say that my roots are in social psychology. So that's what I studied. And that was because I've always been so curious about what happens both inside of people's heads, but also between those heads. And so when people get together, and curiously enough, I actually started to apply my knowledge and understanding in the field of workplace safety, developing safety cultures in industrial organizations. And that was an interesting, wide world that I didn't have that much previous experience in. And there was a time when I thought that any tools or techniques that I could add in my toolbox as a trainer and a consultant to support people were more than welcome. And in 2012, I ran into my first coaching course, which actually, side note, happens to be the one that we train today, that I personally train today. And as so often happens to people who enter the world of coaching, it became more than just a tool or a technique and sort of a sidetrack or even a hobby in some cases. It became a part of my identity. So nowadays, one of my favorite things in this world is to train coaching skills, train coaches, formal coaches, professional coaches, but also working as an individual coach and a team coach, which is one of the newest areas that I've conquered lately in my professional life.
Coincidentally, I also began I guess, a wider practice of coaching around 8 years ago, which I learned from an international coaching certification course. So
All right.
yes, it's a
Yeah.
small world.
Small world.
Perhaps you could also tell us a little bit about World Coaching Organization and their purpose in this world.
Yeah. So looking at all the new logos and the new brand, you could think that WCO is a rather new organization, but interestingly enough, the roots are in, historically speaking, over a decade ago. So somewhere around 2009, the first international coaching certification was delivered around Portugal, and that's where it was created. And then it started to spread into different places and locations. And that's also, so I did, like I said, I did my own course in 2012. And since then, we've gone to over 10 different countries, different continents, etc. Now, of course, as in the modern world, we teach lots of things online as well. So that gives us the chance to reach even more people globally. But yeah, so WCO has existed for over a decade in different forms under different names, and here we are. Hopefully, it has found its home, real home now. The mission hasn't changed though. So we are still living according to our mission and our belief that coaching belongs to everybody, not just some elite that can afford thousands of euros and, to invest half a year or a year or even several years of their lives in studying these professional coaching skills, Honestly, personally, I think that the world doesn't need any more professional coaches. We are quite full of them already. But what we need are people with professional coaching skills. And how we live through our and live by our mission and make it come to life is by organizing accessible, so low threshold but high impact coaching training in different forms, workshops, events. And of course, one of our flagship programs, the International Coaching Certification, is at the core of this conversation today, but that's also at the core of the DNA of WCO. So, John, if you show the next picture, just to give the big picture to anyone who is watching and listening. Of course, at WCO, we do plenty of things. So I mentioned individual coaching and team coaching already. We collaborate with some partners around corporate training and development, anything where coaching could be applied in the workplaces. But definitely at the core of the DNA is the International Coaching Certification course, where it all started back in around 2010.
Yes. So what is coaching itself? I mean, how would you define coaching? What is a coach?
Yeah, this buzzword, right? I think coaching. So if we look at, like, if we go back in time, 10 years ago, well, 13 in this case, like when I started to coach, this was actually a word where people, well, their first thought was, okay, so it's somebody who does like sports coaching or something. So that was the first association and image that people would have when you talked about coaching. Um, since then, I would say that more and more people became familiar with the modern definition and sort of the more professional way of doing coaching. So it's not like you need to explain it on the same level to people today necessarily. Some people don't know about it, but more, definitely more people do know about it compared to over a decade ago. In short, this is just our definition here, and I'm not going to go into these technicalities, but how I would define coaching, and for instance, the ICF defines coaching, it's really um, a partnership. So a coach works as a thinking partner to another person. We don't give answers to people like teachers or consultants, but we are there to help people think for themselves and come up with their own answers and find the answers from within them. And that's definitely like the essence of coaching and how I would define that. Now, maybe to add there that so many people think that coaching is just a technique or a tool, it's something that you do every now and then. But when you get familiar with the world of coaching, you will realize that it's actually more of a mindset. It is a way of thinking. It's a way of interacting with yourself, but also a very high quality of interacting with the people around you. And that is why it has been started to apply in so many different areas, leadership being at the core of that very often.
Okay, thank you. So I wonder who can be a coach, who's the right kind of person to set out to acquire these coaching skills.
Yeah. Well, this is actually a great slide that will help me in answering that question. So thanks for putting it up there. Because the answer is, and this is also what we believe. So everyone is a coach. Anyone can be, and most of the time, just to tell, like, share a secret here, as a social psychologist, I know that, and we know that people are encoded to interact with others. I mean, we are social beings, right? And it's so natural for us to sit down, have a conversation with somebody who's in help, somebody who needs to figure something out. They're stuck, they're lost, and we've all been there. We've all listened to another person and maybe asked them questions, mirrored something back to them, and really helped them, and maybe received a thank you afterwards. So anyone can be a coach, and we all have the skills and the capability within us. Now, just to add on top of that, for some people, it's naturally a little bit easier to be that coach, not to take the role of a coach, but to be that coach to others. And some other people would need to work a little bit more on their patience or on their listening skills and on their interaction skills to be a great coach. But anyone can do that.
Mm.
And having said that, that brings us to kind of the three approaches. So if you would ask what kinds of people join our coaching courses, the answer is actually rather interesting and exciting, because we don't only train people to become formal professional coaches. As you can see, that's only number two here. We've had plenty of people join our courses because they wanted they wanted to find out whether coaching might be the right path for them, and so they did our course to become then certified as a coach, and then they continued their journey to become a business coach or a career coach or whatever they decided would be um, their sort of direction as coaches. So that's one group. But then most of our course participants actually join our course. And we ask this in the beginning of every course, we ask people, and most people would raise their hand up when I asked, so who is here on this course to just learn coaching skills to apply them in an area of their life that already exists? So whether they work in sales or as a teacher, or I mean, we've had actors and pilots and and pharmacists and agile coaches, psychologists, therapists attend to our courses, and leaders, of course, managers, people who work with other people. And most of them just join because they want high quality training where they can learn high quality coaching and interaction skills to be better at what they already do. Better parents, even. So lots of people have just mentioned that they want to be better parents to their children, and they thought that learning coaching skills could help them out. And then
Mm.
finally, the third approach and the third sort of type of participants that we would get. You mentioned it earlier, John, when you said self-development, and that's it. So we have people joining our course because they are in a situation, a moment in their lives where they feel that there could be more to it. They don't know which direction to take, and they just simply need some time and space, a facilitated space to think about think about things and have those conversations and reflect on things and get those insights. And so many people just come for themselves, and then they leave super inspired afterwards.
Mm. Yes, thank you very much. And speaking as someone who uses all of these
Oh, yeah.
elements on a regular basis.
Exactly. And that's the cool part. So
Mm.
when in the end we ask everybody, so what brought you here? And there are so many who raised their hand like at every single point. So they want it all. And of
Mm.
course you can have it all. And I think that's the beauty of coaching. Ethically, you need to be able to coach yourself, because that's really the level of the level of coaching that you can do with others. I love that saying and that philosophy. But at the same time, you can learn to become an excellent coach who has formal coaching conversations with other people, and the person who's the excellent coffee machine coach or lunch table coach for others.
Okay, thank you so much for that explanation. And also, speaking as someone who has been on WCO coaching courses before and others, I know there's a whole bunch of these different courses available around the world in all shapes and
Mm.
sizes. And
Yeah.
I know, having been on the international certification course, that there are some very special elements within that event. So perhaps you could explain what is the secret sauce of WCO?
Yeah, I love the secret sauce. There's plenty of secret sauce and magic in the coaching course. Yeah, so as we like to think of it, and how the course actually came to life, was due to three innovations. So the first innovation that we're looking at is that it's a course that really engages you in not just a training, not just a regular training, but a learning experience. You dive in a learning experience. And many people after this course say that it has been the best training they've ever gone through. And of course, that warms my heart every now and then, but it's because it has been meticulously designed, every detail we've thought through of. And as you can see, it's not it's not a regular, from 9 to 5 type of training, but we actually spend 10 hours per day. It's intense. We sort of really dive deep and connect with each other and connect with the topic for an entire weekend. During the live course, of course, online, we have a little bit of a different format, but even there, we've thought the stories and examples and different kinds of models very much through. And that actually brings us to, so talking about the first innovation, what we teach in our coaching courses are pretty simple models. So John, if you show the next picture, would help us understand and get a hold of what we're talking about here. We're looking at pretty simple or simplified models. So the creator of this course was a big Steve Jobs fan, and he was very much, as you know, if you know anything about Steve Jobs, who created Apple, when he went through the process of creating Apple, he was very much into that simplicity. And so Daniel, who created the course, thought, how can we make the Apple version of coaching in a way? So taking the essence and anything that's at the core and important, and sort of distilling that and teach models that people will remember 10 and 20 years from now. And here's the 4Rs model. So basically the entire coaching course is built around these four core competences of coaching. First one of them being ROSA, which is a methodology that we use to give a structure to a coaching conversation. There's ROSA 1.0, which we teach in very many different places when it comes to like informal coaching, but then on the professional level, and during the course, we'll dive to ROSA 2.0, which is already a whole new level. It goes into psychology of thinking and growth and development. And then there's rapport roots. We go into different models around human interaction, self-awareness, and how to coach people not just on their actions and results, but also their belief systems and emotions and values, etc. So very in-depth and powerful models, but just presented in a way that really makes it easy for people to understand and grasp them right away, remember them later, but also apply them right away. And so there's a lot of practice after teaching these models to people. At least 40% of our courses like practice, practice, practice. And that's also what many experienced coaches who come to our course thank us for. So that's the first innovation of the course. The second one has to do with the people. And the second innovation has to do with basically the course not being designed for just that elite that I mentioned earlier, but and professional coaches, but anybody who could really benefit from applying coaching skills in any areas of life, in their life in general. So in addition for the course to being designed to professional coaches and people who want to try professional coaching out, it's designed for the masses, if you allow me to say that. So again, very diverse, as you can see here, very diverse backgrounds and life stories of people who've joined our course. And the third innovation is around its low cost nature. And that brings us back to our mission. So coaching making coaching accessible to all humans. That's where low cost comes in, because we made our courses low cost in terms of two important resources that people have nowadays: time and money. And money-wise, If you've seen our course prices, you'll know that they are very affordable. So anybody considering, a little trial, a safe trial of coaching it's easy to join, but then also time-wise, another very important resource for us people nowadays. So just investing, I mean, you can do the course in 1 weekend, one intense weekend if you wish to, and then of course continue with the certification later on. But already within a few months, you can have your certificate in your hand and really have the high quality basic skills when it comes to being a coach.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And we have some questions, quite a few questions, but let's pick some of those that are perhaps going to be the most interesting for our audience. So I know where I was talking about these various different courses before, and there are all kinds of varying sizes. And what size generally are the international coaching certification courses?
Yeah, you mean participant wise?
Yeah,
So how
yeah.
many people? Yeah, so if you go back to the previous pictures, here you can actually see quite nicely some of the vibes and the group sizes and everything. I think in the past when I took the course, it was a big event. We were around 50 people. So that was a bit of a different world we lived in. Personally, the biggest course that I've delivered to has been 32 people, if I'm not mistaken. So that was already quite a big situation, but it was so exciting. It brings a lot of energy into the learning process. Now, nowadays and already in the past, we used to limit our number of participants to 25, which is quite an optimal group size for many reasons. And the smallest group that I've ever trained for the ICC is actually 6 people. So anything and everything in between. But the most important thing is, how do we make it interactive, engaging, and psychologically safe, and impactful at the same time?
Thank you. Yes, some other questions here. So, yeah, I think probably something that people are thinking before they come to the course, or wondering whether they should book it, is do I need to have some kind of basics? Do I need to have some kind of experience already, or how will it work if there's people with all kinds of different experiences?
Yeah, yeah, and love that diversity in experience, I have to say, actually. So the answer is no, you don't need any previous understanding. We're going to take it from the basics. Like, really, you can come as a blank canvas if you if you wish. At the same time, we do have some experienced coaches joining our course because of the tools and the practical side of it, and they want to add tools into their toolbox and sort of just reconnect with the basics and the roots of the essence of coaching. So it is for quite a diverse group of people, and everybody can. So the experienced coaches will walk away with that reconnection and more tools and techniques, and very often the feedback is that it was actually much more practical than anything I've ever done before, and I got so many new, ideas and insights from it. And then the people who are just getting started get a very good sort of kickstart into doing coaching and starting to apply it right away.
Mm. Speaking as someone who recently attended one of these international certification courses, after some years, I gained huge value out of it. That there is a lot to be said for just immersing yourself in there once again, and learning by doing,
Yeah,
as well as some refreshing on the different models, and of course learning new things every single time.
absolutely.
Um, so if I'm sitting there thinking, well, okay, yeah, I'd like to go on a coaching course, and you've described a number of the benefits of the coaching courses that we do at the moment. how do I make that final choice? Which coaching course would be the right one for me? I know
Yeah.
that there are many different me's, but how to
Yeah.
answer that question?
The future you, the course for the future you. That's a great question, and my answer is always a question, as we coaches love to do. We love to answer to questions with other questions, and it is what's your goal? So if your goal is to, you already know that you want to become a professional business coach and get, certified by the ICF as soon as possible, etc., etc. Well, you could use our coaching course as a kickstart on that journey, and then proceed in different, like through different courses and certifications and etc. So that could be one way to look at it. If your goal is just to get an understanding of the basics of coaching, it's an absolute yes. So this is a great place to start. And I remember one of our participants whom I met recently with, she said that she was working as a team leader, and she was going through these different coaching certification courses, and she thought, wow, they're so expensive, like 4,000, 5,000 euros for a course. And she was looking at her budget from her organization, so her development budget, learning budget for the year, and she thought, well, this is like, this doesn't fit. So she Googled a little bit and she found our course, and she thought, well, this is perfect. This fits into the budget, and I can get everything that I need already from this course clearly. Well, what then happened is that she got so excited about coaching that she decided to study it further and actually became a career coach later on. But I think it's a great story in terms of, sometimes it is about, our budget and that money and time we talked about earlier. And if your goals are just to get an excellent coaching training, get excited, inspired in life, then it's a big yes.
Yes, I mean, it's a challenging economy globally these days, and of course more challenging in some countries than others. And if someone's budget is quite limited, what kind of options do they have to join one of our courses?
Yeah, that's a great and such a um uh how do you say it? Such a uh relevant, I guess is the word in English here that
Mm.
I'm looking for here, question for these days. So we are super flexible. Again, we want to make coaching accessible for everybody, and that means that we need to have certain arrangements available. So you can pay in installments, so we can cut the course payment down. And of course, if we look at the pricing of the courses as well, how we made it accessible is that we have three price categories at the moment. So there's the one for students and unemployed, so the special group price. Then there's the individual. So if you pay personally, VAT included, we're talking about 798 euros. Early bird, 100 euros away from that, and then we do have occasional discounts here and there. And then, of course, if your business pays for the course, it adds a few things there, because businesses get all kinds of benefits. Plus, we add a lot of value through the people who come to our courses. So the price would be 998. And yeah, installments is one of our most used ways to flex even more and make it even more accessible to the people who are having certain situations in life, as we all do occasionally.
Thank you. And you've mentioned accessibility a few times during the session today. And if let's talk about geographical accessibility. So if I'm in X country, what are my options to join one of these courses?
Yeah. Well, we of course we've started to work with quite a few local organizers to make our live coaching courses accessible to as many people as possible. Currently, it's mostly around Europe. I've been all the way to Iran back in the days delivering workshops and and we are actually negotiating with quite a few interesting locations. So just wait for it. Or if you're up for it, just take that flight and join in any location that inspires you. Maybe you have some relatives or friends living around. So you can basically join any course, and that's why we call it the International Coaching Certification course, because we've had people, I remember back in the days, we had somebody fly all the way from Brazil to Finland to participate on one of our courses, and it was the most extreme thing I could ever imagine, and we were like wowed by that. So yeah, it is talking about embarking on an adventure. Sometimes a part of that adventure is to actually go to another location or just take the course that happens in your neighbor district. So really up to you and what kind of experience you're looking for and what your budget is like. And of course, talking about that accessibility nowadays, so many things happen online. So we are working on that accessibility through bringing more and more of our courses online. Those are live courses for the moment. Maybe in the future you can also do um, something online, but without that live aspect to it, just added through some practice sessions or so. So we're continuously trying to adapt to this very global and modern world of ours. And we've had participants join our workshops all the way from Nigeria and from Japan and India. So you're more than welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, it's becoming more accessible than ever before, and certainly yeah, it's very easy now to find our events. So just hop onto our website www.worldcoaching.com, and we have all our events there, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Maybe we have time for just one or two more quick questions. So this is an interesting one. So how would I prepare for the ICC training weekend? As you said, it's an immersion essentially, isn't it? So
Mhm.
how do I need to get myself ready for that?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I always talk about like the sort of how do we survive this course? So the sort of the travel itinerary and whatever you need to pack and prepare. And what we tell people, of course, we've had participants who have like small babies and everything, and then you'll have to think about some, feeding schedules and stuff like that. But for the ones without the small babies, who have a little bit more freedom in their attendance, we'll always tell them to bring like comfortable clothes, anything that makes you feel like you're at home during that weekend. Some snacks, so take care of your energy levels, whatever it is that you need. The good old like sleeping. What does sleeping not cure, but just, come well rested, as well as you can. Some people have come like exhausted and then they leave super energized and inspired at the end of the course. So it can also work that way. Your favorite pen, your favorite notebook, and I think that's really it. We do send out a preparation exercise, so some material that you can get familiar with that's around the ICF coaching competences, a reflection exercise that you can already do. People have different levels of preparation. So some come a bit more unprepared and some a little bit more prepared, and maybe they've read some books and stuff, but just with an open mind and with some energy, and off you go.
Good advice, thank you. And again, back to that word accessibility, to make it accessible as possible to people. We do the course in English, facilitate the course in English.
Yeah.
Presumably, there are different English levels within the course. How does that work?
Yeah, that's so important because our language, I mean, we do interact differently in different languages, and we do think, our thinking happens in those different languages. So, mm, Some people, for most of the people, the English part hasn't been a problem. I actually remember once delivering, and since then a few times after, we've delivered the course in Finnish language, and it's interesting how even for the trainer, it's a different kind of experience to train the course in another language. But if your local language isn't available, you will definitely be able to follow in English because our trainers are so they try their best to be as clear and as explicit in their English as possible. And so everything is built around that easily we try to make things as easily understandable as possible. And so far, no participants who've had challenges with English and who were worried about it, so far nobody had any problems in understanding the training and the lessons that we teach during the coaching course. And then the good news is that locally, so if you come to our live course, most likely you will find people in your course, sometimes most of the participants who speak your native language. So we could form groups, practice groups where people can speak in their native language. And that makes it so much easier as well. So you can interact with others. You don't need to interact with them all the time in English, but you can also use your native language most of the time. So far, it's a great question, and like I said, yes, so important. And we've been asked this many times, and always, people might show up a bit nervous, and they might say that in the beginning, like, I'm a bit nervous about this English aspect to things, but then in the end of the course, they're like, yeah, they're just fluent in English in all kinds of ways and talking to people in English without already realizing. So yeah,
Sounds like an
problem.
additional benefit to me, actually.
Right, right.
Yeah. Polish your language skills. Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah,
Perhaps one final one. We've talked about the fact that you can acquire coaching skills and you can use them for different in different forms for different purposes. If someone wants to certify as a coach and that's what they want to do, they come along to our course. How does that work after that? So how do they then
Mm.
certify as a coach?
Yeah, yeah. So we do have our own certification process opened up on our website. So there's an actual blog post of that where you can compare our certification process, if you want, to the ICF certification process. And as you'll notice, you can use that as a basis for later getting certified by the ICF through the portfolio path. What we're going to ask you to do is, first of all, practice coaching. So with two coaching clients, you're going to run 6 sessions with each of them. 6 sessions already forms quite a nice coaching process, so we can follow how the client actually proceeds towards their goals and how the rapport builds up, and basically everything around the 4 R's that we teach during our course. So practicing with clients, recording those sessions and writing reports on those. We're going to ask you to do a few reflection tasks. So writing a few essays on you as a coach and your roots, etc. And then you'll get access to plenty of additional material. And of course, what we try to more and more what we try to offer to our course participants are sessions, master classes, and even a master coach course that's sort of next level where you can develop your skills and your toolbox and your knowledge around coaching after the course. That's not a part of the certification, but a path that you can follow.
Thank you. Maybe I'll just sneak in one last tiny little question. So some of these people now who have gone through the certification, so what's next for them? Are there other more advanced courses that they can take to continue their education?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, some people decide to go through a bit more of a formal coaching journey. So they would do the certification and then maybe go for another coaching school that's specified in something, or or then continue the journey with us and go through those master classes and the master coach course. I'm going to get back to that soon. For some, even if they don't go for the certification because it's not their priority, they just want the skills and the mindset and just start to apply that right away. Even they might follow some sessions afterwards because they want to keep their informal coaching skills alive with us. But yeah, so what I'm excited to say after so many years is that we've designed a new master coach course, which is taking things to the next level. So if you want to relive the experience of the International Coaching Certification Course weekend, you can join the Master Coach Weekend, which has a bit of the same spirit and the really sort of immersive experience vibe to it, but very hardcore, impactful coaching skills and self-coaching skills for anybody who wants to learn those.
And I believe those that want to take this forward as a career, as a business, that there is some specific training involved for them.
Yeah, so there is a 4-hour session around how to build your own coaching business. That's actually a separate session that anybody could join, also if they don't do the Master Coach certification before that. So yeah, again, making it as accessible to people as possible. And that is what we get asked a lot. So for people who want to take that more formal path and they want to found their own businesses around coaching, very often, even though it's not around the ICF core competences, by the way, so ICF doesn't count those hours but it's so crucial to people to get that support in how do I do this and how do I build a coaching business, that yes, we just put that in there as a part of that as well.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Paulina, for telling us all about the World Coaching Organization, its purpose, its mission, and also the available courses and learning opportunities.
Yeah, thank you. It has been a pleasure talking with you.
Wonderful. Okay, so don't forget to follow us. You can find out what we're up to, our events around the world, and our online options, and anything about us on our website, www.worldcoaching.com. And you can find us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Yeah, also
Even on
TikTok.
TikTok, John. Don't forget TikTok.
Absolutely. Now we're finally on TikTok, so we welcome you there too. So however you're going to progress your coaching journey in the future, we wish you much success, and thank you
Yeah.
for listening today.
Yeah, and hope to see you soon and to coach with you soon.